What's up, everybody? And I am here with this guy. He's pretty much my twin brother. At least we go to the same barber, I think.
Absolutely.
Right? So we're going to talk a little bit about some compliance issues for small businesses in the contracting sector. This is really important for you to check out, so stay tuned.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff. America will continue the dream.
What's up, everybody? I am here with Dwayne R. Wilkins, right? And you're with an organization called Local Content. Is the name localcontent.com or is it local content?
Well, it's local content. We do have a website, so it's localcontent.com.
Okay.
But the official name of the business is Local Content.
Local Content.
Yes.
And specifically, what does Local Content do?
So local content, there's the definition of what we do, which is we do compliance strategy, deployment. We've helped in a lot of different spaces, the offshore wind space in particular, some big wins there. But when it comes to infrastructure development, we help large companies meet their compliance regulations, which are now called local content requirements.
Okay,
right?
so
There's also there you go. You see how we did that, right?
Yeah, how you did that. Yeah.
It's always good to be early. And then there's also domestic content too. And so those requirements are similar to requirements of before, making sure that local businesses are provided with opportunities in large infrastructure projects, especially when there's public funding involved, right?
Right. So you're dealing with, that subcontractor requirements, that MBE requirements, SBE cert requirements, things like that.
Absolutely.
Making sure these prime contractors are hitting all those beats in the reporting and the payroll and the job deployments. That's basically what. So you're basically not just in an oversight capacity, but you're preparing the prime contractor to meet the requirements.
Absolutely.
Right? I got that right?
You did. And we also do a bottom-up approach. Small businesses, mid-tier businesses, we help them communicate effectively with larger primes, right? Okay. And the first step is information. So the launch of our website, localcontent.com, is to give you the macro and sometimes the micro of what's just going on in your neighborhood. What's the latest sports entertainment development, which might be Pacer Stadium in Indiana. Right, which that's at the top of the page now, or what's happening in Atlantic City as far as casino and gaming, for you to then say, okay, how do I become part of that? So local content is a tool. So you're not just New Jersey. You just mentioned a whole nother city for some people that on another planet, right? Yeah. But you're everywhere, basically. Absolutely.
Okay, so you're not just Jersey based, which is really awesome because we have people that see this all over the country. So, and you're not just talking about federal, right? So we're talking literally local, like you just said, Atlantic City. So, I mean, you're covering a big range. Your organization is covering a big range of compliance. But did I understand you when you said, like, you have this sort of bottom-up approach where you're this resource for people to find out what's going on? Is that what...
Absolutely.
So it basically makes you an industry resource at this point. You're not just oversight. You're industry resource. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is, you can't just attack things from the top, right? And if you look at a pyramid, most of the saturation's at the bottom. More people are at the bottom than at the top. So if you approach from both angles, you'll be able to it's really about the success of the project and what does success look like for the developer, for the investor, stakeholder, and what does it look like for the community. We try to hit all those different pieces, if that makes sense. So the needs of the stakeholders, the community is different than the needs of the stakeholders and the developer themselves. And I coined a phrase some time ago that said, who's going to tie the giant shoes, right? You'll be surprised what the developers, investors, all these guys with all this money and all this infrastructure development talk, you'll be surprised what they don't know.
Really?
about the neighborhoods that they're developing, or just don't know in general.
Part of me is not surprised because, and I don't say that because I'm like anti-corporate, right? It's not because of that, but I think it's just when you're at a scope and size of an operation, and it's not that you forget, it's just sometimes you can't. Like you need to hire people just to do that for you, to give you that boots on the ground approach to what's the temperature of the community, the local community. So it's not so much that the corporations are ignoring it, it's just sometimes they're just too big. To get there. And so it's funny because you had just mentioned about this your approach, the pyramid. So I just had this conversation today that most holistic approaches are these top-down approaches, right? Here's the holistic bubble. You look at it. My approach to a holistic thing is, and the way we're coordinating a holistic approach, for example, to Atlantic City, is top-down, bottom-up, so that we're coming to the middle. Right? Because a lot of times, people forget that there's this whole bottom section here that should be benefiting. And they don't. And it's, again, not necessarily malicious, but it's kind of like, oops, we forgot. I'm giving probably some people the benefit of the doubt here, right? right. Probably being nice.
It's large industry. We've seen it all.
Yeah, we've seen it all. So local content becomes this resource partner is a resource partner for the small business community as much as it's a resource partner for the corporate community.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I want to dial back real quick on compliance because I want to make sure people know what compliance means when it comes to government contracting. Because I think a lot of times, if somebody's a federal contractor, they get the importance of compliance because they can go to jail. For failure, like at that federal level, right? You blow it with DFARS and you're screwed. You know what I mean? But I think for some people who are maybe just a small contractor who are bidding RFPs, not paying a super lot of attention to, they need to understand that compliance exists for them too, even at that local level. Right?
Absolutely.
So that's where you come in.
Yeah. So just to take a step, stepping into what you're saying, for small businesses, compliance is definitely necessary. But here's where there's usually gaps. And before I was with local content, I was coaching small local businesses, right? On how to get those government contracts and really getting into the nuances of what that means outside of their day-to-day operations, right? So if you're a local construction company and you're used to operating a certain way, that's fine until you talk to the NJEDA. Or if you're in New York, you talk to NYSERDA, that's different. The things you have to pay attention to and be prepared for are absolutely different. And it's almost like they're speaking legalese. So you have to pay attention to those things. And a gap that happens there, Eric, is a lot of times the boss is also the lead worker, is also the right, he's also the foreman. So that's not his specialty. And also, does he have time? Do they have time? And a lot of small businesses suffer from burnout because you're trying to do both things. And we always suggest that people, always get help hiring one more person to, divulge that information for you. But then also go to the places where, it's like a dictionary. Well, what's compliance? All right, we're going to explain it. And so that's one of the things that we do at Local Content when we're hosting an event, like the event we're having on the 28th in Staten Island and Brooklyn, or we have our Local Content Week, February 17th, right? For the week, we're going to be, breaking those things down. That's also the purpose of our website, localcontent.com, where you can register for free, get that information coming directly to you, and then you can spend the time just looking at the parts that you don't understand, getting those definitions.
You got to get me because I'm just going to push it. You got to email me your event stuff so we could deploy it on our email newsletter.
Absolutely.
Because it's really important.
As soon as we get out of here.
Yeah, just make sure we get it, and we'll get it in the newsletter, and it'll go out. Because, we have like 8,300 small businesses just in New Jersey alone in our membership.
Yeah.
So, we want to get it out to them.
Congratulations to you on that. That's good reach, and I know you're helping a lot of people with that.
The good reach is when I got 8,300 people coming to an event because they all saw that email. Then I'm happy. Until then, we're not. There's nothing to celebrate.
Absolutely.
But I think going back to originally my first question, I got myself a little sidetracked, was what is compliance? And I'd like to believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, another way of saying compliance is follow the rules.
Yes.
These are the rules, follow them.
Yeah.
And then you got to report on your following.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the nutshell of compliance, right? Wrong? Maybe so?
Pretty much. Yeah.
I mean,
so
it's a simple view. I'm sorry, but...
it is very simple. And I think what gets confusing in the space is people don't know how to communicate, right? So I'm married and I have children. If you come into my house, there might be a word that's regular to you, but in my house, it means something totally different.
Sure.
So if you're looking at the industry that we've been heavy in, offshore wind, most of these companies are Danish. Some of them are from France. They come to America. They literally don't speak the language. Most of the bosses, they hire people locally. But then divulging that information within the timeline is really hard because, like you said earlier, those people's time are limited and they can't necessarily, between 9 to 5, get to everybody. And we've done some work on the back end. Me and my cohorts at local content have done some on the ground work, just working on public trust. Divulging the information,
Right.
breaking it down. What does it mean? Even going door to door if we had to get that out there. But that's really what it takes is nuance, is culture,
Right.
and that's where business will if business disconnects from culture, which I know you understand, that is a farce.
Yeah.
There's something that they're missing. You have to get into the culture, and I'll brag a little bit. Some of the things that we do at local content, we leverage that. So
Okay.
we have our department ran by Tanika Cheney, which is sports power clean energy, right? We get a bunch of kids. We've had at most 200, at least maybe 50, either playing basketball or watching baseball, but we're teaching them about offshore wind clean energy and what does it mean to save money and save the planet, right? At the same time, we're feeding them, letting them go a little bit wild. We have a little bit of structure, but 200 kids you can't control.
No, it's hurting cats.
Right? Right, it's hurting cats, but then they get to watch a baseball game. Now, what happens? You allow them to have experiential learning. They'll never forget that they were at Met Stadium.
Right.
They'll never forget that people took the time to do that with and for them, and they'll probably come back around. Now, who was met in that room? Children, which is workforce development. That's your future, right? If you're a large company.
Right.
The company itself got to meet the kids, so the kids know, oh, I can go work for this group in particular because I met them face to face.
Right.
Then they also know, okay, I've been in Met Stadium. That was cool. This is something I can brag about. And now you created a culture within a culture that you can leverage when it's time for you to hire, when it's time for you to look for a job,
Right.
when it's time for you to look for an industry to tap into. And let's be very clear, because I am a parent, I also make sure my kids know about it too, and they come to some of the events and they leverage that experience as well.
So you talk about, offshore energy right now, and,
Yeah.
by the time this is going to be on YouTube, we'll probably have heard more of the new administration batting it down because they already said something in the press. But, and I say that, and even though we have rules here about not being political, this is a reality of industry that we're going to have to face. So how does an organization like yours, because you're clearly not just in offshore energy, right? So what other industries are you guys, compliance, I'm going to use the word compliance, overseeing or educating in compliance? Like, where are you?
Well, mostly in infrastructure development. So offshore wind, it is infrastructure development. Casino and gaming, sports and entertainment, commercial real estate, things of that nature where a lot of public dollars go to these projects, but a lot of times the opportunities don't go back to the public, or sometimes not in a substantial way. And public, there's no race, creed, gender, age, anything on that. Everybody that is around us right now, that's local content, right? Those are the people that need to know the opportunities that are coming up. So when these projects are being developed and there's public funding, we have to talk to the public about that because some of that's taxpayer dollars, right?
Yeah, well, a lot of it.
A lot of it is.
It's taxpayer dollars, and we have to be responsible for taxpayer dollars. It's funny because I just I'm doing a project, and I had said it's a state office project I'm doing up in Connecticut, and we were talking about the money, right, and everything, and I said I'm not going to do that because these are taxpayer dollars. We can't do this. We have to be fiscally responsible,
right?
Even though I'm a contractor, and I'm not responsible for the oversight of those dollars, I'm not going to be in a position where the office might have failed to do something correct or whatever, and then we just pissed away taxpayer dollars. Yeah, because we all know that's the chief complaint from the public sector.
Absolutely,
you're wasting. Oh, that's what taxpayer dollars went for. And we often also know that the public sector doesn't really know the inner workings of the who, why, where, what,
Absolutely.
how, right? So, there is a disconnect between the public and the mechanisms. So, not that I want to get down there, but
that's a whole other podcast.
It's a whole nother rabbit hole, right? But there is that same disconnect with the small business community.
Absolutely.
Right? Because there are people out there, the small business community, they think they're getting into government contracting. State, federal, local, county, whatever it is. Oh, I'm going to sell my blue widgets to the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not that simple.
Right.
It's not me buying from Amazon.
Yeah.
There's a set of rules there, and there's a set of compliance rules there. And when you're making those blue widgets to deliver to this office, how much of that percentage is being given to small minority-owned businesses or women-owned businesses? How much of that percentage is developed local? Are your products American? Or are they coming out of Iran? Right. Like there's a lot going on that there's a disconnect. Yeah.
And I think it goes back down to time, right? And entrepreneurs in general, because small business, even large business, if you're running it, if it's yours, you're an entrepreneur, right? And there's a lot of burnout because, again, the folks are running the company, but they're also active in it. And there's the data that they might be missing, and either they can't hire or don't know that they should, right? And that's where guys like myself and yourself come in to fill in those gaps, because those are the biggest misses. Is they got to understand each other. It's a marriage, right? And you have to learn the other person. You have to learn the other party and what they're saying or what they really mean, and really get right, and then get into the nuance of those things and breaking that down and seeing it before it happens,
right?
And then getting to it. And then when it comes to compliance, the definition of compliance is the act of complying. Even though it's a noun, it should be a verb. And you talked about rules, so you have to know the rules. A lot of people don't, right? They don't know the rules. The stuff you laid out, I know that comes from somewhere deep, but a lot of people don't even know that. All right, I might have to source my blue widgets from the U.S., and that's going to change their business structure,
right?
Depending, it's going to change their budget, right? And so, but they're going after the contract already. Now they have to make a turn, and it might cost them some money. Even more so, cost them time.
Or might push their bid up, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of that. So it behooves a small business to jump onto your website.
Yeah.
Especially too, they don't have to be in the contracting game. If they're just curious about the area of it.
Yeah.
You're a resource, right? So
Absolutely.
That's it. You're a resource.
Yeah.
So last question before we wrap it up is, I want to get this really sort of narrow scoped, as laser scoped as you could be with this piece of advice. Give a piece of advice to a small business, whatever that is, that they can understand completely, that's going to help them. What would you offer?
I will offer this. Pick your lane, drill down on it, and see how it lines up with federal, state, county contracting, and stick to that. Don't do 3 different things, and also learn the rules like your first, middle, and last name. Because when you go to present to these people who want to buy your product, buy your service, they want to know that you're a professional, that you are studied on what they need, because that is important. They might have the money, but their needs are still important because they have goals, they have rules that they also have to comply with or abide by. So make sure you go in prepared. Set the time aside to study your industry and study who's searching for it and what they need.
That's absolutely amazingly sound advice that everybody needs to follow. So listen, folks, localcontent.com, massive resource regarding compliance, government contracting. And when we say government, we're talking about federal, state, local. When we say local, we're talking about if you're a little village in Connecticut, right, with a population of 50, local. Federal, DOD, right? So understand that, and check out localcontent.com. That's going to be a really valuable resource for you, whether you're in the game or just starting out. Dwayne, thank you so much
Yeah, man,
for
Eric.
coming down.
Yeah,
I appreciate
for
it.
sure.
I'm glad we got you here. This is a really, really important bit of information for the small business community, and I'm excited.
I thank you for having me, man. This is
All
a good
right, man.
time.
You have a good one. Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Folks, go out there and make some amazing shit happen. That's your job. Find success. All right, we're out.
This
Awesome
episode
stuff.
has been underwritten
Thank
by
you.
Outcome Engine. What sets Outcome Engine apart from other companies is they put people and creativity at the forefront of everything they do. Their holistic approach is about more than just technology. They create strategies that include the best tech, the smartest planning, and the brightest minds to help your business flourish. Outcome Engine believes technology serves humanity. Collaboration is their cornerstone, and every day is an opportunity to do work that matters with people who truly matter. Outcome Engine does more than help your business grow. They turn your business into a growth engine. For more information, visit their website, outcomeengine.io.